Nah.
Our listeners won't know this, Tana, but we're recording this a little bit ahead of what we normally do because I'm headed out of town and we're trying to not have to do this when we're in different time zones.
Yeah, that's ideal.
Yeah.
And you're going out of town for...
Aaron is
It will be
racing.
done at this time. It will
Yeah,
be done. Yeah.
when this comes out, that the race will be over. I actually will be home when this comes out. So, but we're preparing. We're getting ahead. We're embracing our inner six.
Love
We're
that
getting
for
ahead.
me.
It's funny. I talked to a six today in depth about some things, and we were talking about that, like where this like for sixth energy that need to be over prepared comes from. Maybe we'll unpack that as we get into the rest of this podcast. But travel probably brings out the six more in me than any other activity.
Which is fair. Travel brings out, I mean, most things bring out six energy for me, but like travel particularly. Travel with children particularly.
I don't have that. I've been telling I've been telling the floof dog though about how much I'm gonna miss her. What am I gonna do without her? Who's gonna, how am I gonna fall asleep at night without her? And Aaron
Mm-hmm.
tonight, he says, he looks at me and he looks at her and he's like, yeah, I might get a whole third of the bed to myself.
What's
I
that
was like,
gonna be
come
like,
on.
you know?
Yeah.
Oh my God, how funny.
Yeah.
Oh, funny. Well, that will be very exciting. I can't wait to hear how everything goes because you're going with a purpose.
Yes. Yep. We're going, Aaron's racing. So
Yeah,
it'll be fun.
he's gonna crush it. It's gonna go great. You're gonna have some much needed time away.
Some sunshine, hopefully.
Yeah,
And
some
yeah.
sunshine, some wine, like maybe a
Yes.
beach.
Well, I mean, yeah, we're going to California, so there'll be a beach, but the beaches near where we're going are pretty rocky. Not that there's like sand beaches there too, but they will be we might have to travel a little bit to get to them.
If you find sea glass, will you bring me back some?
I have jars and jars and jars of sea glass around my house. I can accommodate that request.
I want some.
Well, really quick before we jump into our topic, and today we're going to talk about another core construct of the Enneagram, like we did a couple weeks ago. But before we get into that, welcome to our podcast, Enneagram Adventure, where we talk about the Enneagram and life, growth, development, humanness, all through the lens of the Enneagram. Tan and I are IEQ 9 certified coaches with that tool. So if you're curious about the IEQ 9 or an assessment or why we chose that one, hit us up. We'd love to tell you.
Yep.
Anything you want to add?
And don't forget that the Enneagram is about your core motivation and why you do the things that you do rather than the things you do. So it goes levels deeper than any other traditional assessment that you may have taken in the past. This construct explains a little bit more about behavior and can be slightly tied to mistypes sometimes. We're not going to talk about a full mistype episode today, but it's just worth remembering as you're thinking about, because I get this wrong all the time, where somebody's like, oh, well, what do you think I am? I don't know. Like, I don't know what you are. Like, even if you're somebody that's really close to me, I did guess, like my two best friends, I guessed correctly, but I
Yeah.
know much more about them than oh, hey, how's it going? I see you twice a year. What do you think I am? I don't know.
Right. Yeah.
There is nuance.
There is nuance. And there's one that recently took an assessment, a person that you and I both know who recently took an assessment, and I was certain. Now, to be fair, I have not like booked my debrief time with this person yet to be like, do you agree?
Mm-hmm.
But at first blush, I was like, I think this person is a 7. They give a lot of 7 vibes. Their assessment came back as an 8. So it's like the perfect example to talk about how like a wing might show up and how that's the behavior of that wing is what shows up. That doesn't mean that the motivation is there. Yeah.
Exactly. Exactly.
So if that wasn't the giveaway, like we're gonna unpack all the wing stuff.
Wings.
Yeah. I am on record and will go on record again as saying of all the constructs in the Enneagram, the wings I find the least interesting. But I will say that a lot of
Really?
people have questions about it. Yeah. Yep.
That's crazy.
Yeah, I would much rather talk lines, triads, stances. I shouldn't say that. I'm happy to talk wings. But maybe it's because in my mind, like the wing behavior, I don't know, maybe it's because that like construct itself is very clear, and me being a 5 likes the all like
I was gonna
nitty-gritty
say
of
you
how
like
the
the
lines are.
deeper.
Yeah. Yeah.
I find it like to your point, the more that I learn, I find it so much easier to understand. And one of my Enneagram pet peeves is when people are like, "Oh, I think I'm a 5 wing 8." That's not real. Like, think of your wings like literal wings, like the number on either side of you.
Hmm. Yes.
Those are your wings.
Wings are attached. Bird
Yes.
doesn't fly with like one wing way over there.
Right. Right. So, yeah, with that, let's get into wings.
Yeah. So I'll just run through like the kind of 3 main theories related to wings, which we've talked about before, but just as a reminder for folks, before we jump into like the whole system. And that is just like Tana said, your wings are the numbers directly adjacent to your core number. So if you are a 2, your wings are always 1 and 3. But the way the wings work for each individual is where like the theory kind of part comes in. So one theory that's sort of out in Enneagram, you know, circles, you could ask, you know, AI if you want to about this probably, is that one wing is dominant and that you sort of have one that you just really lean on and that's dominant for your whole life and is what it is, kind of pretty cut and dry like that. Another theory is that you have one wing that shows up pretty dominantly for you kind of in younger life. And then as you gain life experience and you have different things happen to you and grow and develop, et cetera, that then you sort of develop more of the behaviors of the other way. And then the last way is that you use them both equally and that there you have 2 wings for a reason and that you can lean into either of them equally. And what I will tell you is that the middle one that I described is the one I most relate to. But if you're talking about integration, balance, growing as a human, obviously the goal would be that you can use both of them equally if you're kind of fully integrating with the Enneagram. Did I miss anything?
I don't think so. I don't think you missed anything. I actually find wings to be interesting, but like also very helpful when I'm using it to coach someone. So looking at someone's coaching companion and seeing what, like if they have a number in terms of wings that they're heavier in is helpful for me to understand a little bit more about
Yeah.
what I'm picking up on.
Yeah. I, yeah, I think it can just give you a little more understanding of someone
Hmm.
when you understand the wings. And it also sometimes can make it very clear, I use the example a lot, but there are a couple of twos that I know, and I know them primarily in a work setting. And if you had asked me based on how I experienced them at work, I would have told you they were threes.
Mm-hmm.
I would have been like, no freaking way. 100% three. They're
Mm-hmm.
competitive, they're driven, they're ambitious, all of this sort of stuff. It's very important to them, right?
Hmm.
I would have mistyped them on their behavior alone because of the way that they show up in that energy in a work setting. Both of them will tell you, actually, there's three of them. All of them will tell you that no, this is about, that's like their work persona. But when they get home, they're like all in whatever the family needs, whatever the close friends need, whatever those people need in their life, right?
Hmm.
Then the two motivation really comes up for them.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I I resonate with that just because I do lean further into my three wing as a two. I can't recall that that has changed over time. I've always had a competitive kind of spirit. What I would tell you is that understanding my full two tendencies, I was much more fueled by comparison in my two energy when I was younger than I am today. I think that probably shifted like college years, where the three wing is very like, I'm gonna prove it to me. Like the competitive thing is like, I'm gonna do the thing because I really want to do it and I want to achieve it for the most
Right.
part. So yeah, I resonate with kind of three energy showing up at work more than two energy. I don't know. You experience me in a work setting.
I
You
think,
experience me differently in a work
yeah, I think I can see it in you both ways. And that's where maybe it's not necessarily fair to this other group of twos is that I don't work with them closely day to day in the same way that I work with you.
Mhm.
But the from the outside in my experiences with them, what some people who work with them more closely will say is like, oh gosh, no, once you get to like know them under the surface, it's the same at work, but they still just present very like driven, ambitious, want to win. Could also be the roles that they sit in at work versus
Oh,
the roles you and I sit
sure.
into, right? Where it's like more obvious,
Yeah.
the competitive side.
Yeah.
But anyway, that's an example of like the wings and how that works. Because we're talking two, three, let's just go back to one really quick. Hopefully it's not, or maybe yeah, let's go back to one. So we've done the wings of two, and then we'll like swap numbers.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I think the one wing for twos, it shows up in like the perfectionist behavior. For some of them, it's sort of the everything has to be ticked and tied and buttoned up, and they don't necessarily, it doesn't feel, the perfectionism from a two doesn't feel quite the same as the perfectionism from the one because the motivation's different, but it's
Yep.
still some of those same behaviors. Does the slide look exactly how we want the slide to work or to look? Does Have we practiced the presentation enough times? And again, there's still but it's like perfectionism through this, like, how do I help you versus this has to be perfect for the sake of being perfect.
I experience ones, I guess I know more ones that wing to two
Then nine.
than nine.
I know nines who wing one, but to your point, like,
I just can't
yeah,
think of any. I'm looking at my report, like my reports right now that I'm like, do I have a one that like I'm forgetting?
I think I think it's easier for ones, maybe not all ones, maybe social ones, to lean on the two more than the nine.
Probably. Sure.
Yeah.
Subtype
And
kind of matters here.
I think, without making it about subtype, it's the same for twos that seem to wing real hard three. They're most likely social twos. Although that's not 100% of the time because I do know a social two who wings harder one. But for ones, I think that maybe there's like a little more natural feeling of that for them than the nine. The nine sort of keeping the peace energy against the one perfectionism. I don't
Sure.
know. Maybe we need to hear from a one. Is there a one who feels like they wing harder to the nine? If we were to keep, because we're kind of going backwards now. So if we kept going backwards to the nine, I know several nines who lean very heavy on the one wing. That perfectionism, like all of that, in the similar way that the two leans on the one, the nine also will lean into that one. And there's like a softness, but that comes through it with that. But what happens with nines and the one energy is the one energy can start to be another excuse for them to like put it off, to pause, to like, oh, it
Right.
could never be good enough, to not take the action or not say what they need when they're leaning into the one.
Yeah. When, because my sister, I can't remember. No, my sister wings one. She's a nine wings one, which is interesting because I was, there's this Instagram account that I follow. I think it's like, it's called like the Nine Coach or Coaching Nine. Do you follow that person? Where they get into a thinking pattern that's like idea, obsessing about the idea, getting intimidated by the idea, and then procrastinating.
Yeah. Yes.
But it's like all these little things that she touches are perfect. Like
Yeah.
she'll get the idea, the thing that she starts with is perfect. And it's because she obsesses about it being
Yeah.
perfect. But then, like with bigger projects, then she gets intimidated and then she procrastinates.
Yes. That feels right
Like she
for.
started an Instagram account for when they were building their house. She started an Instagram account. So she wanted to like have people follow along with her on like making the choices and what she picked and like she's super creative that way. She's very like
Yeah.
she's really really good at that. But then she got intimidated and she just like yeah, that's going to sit over there.
Yeah. Yep.
I don't want to do that anymore. For her, it's like get the idea, stick with it, regardless if you think it's perfect or not, because she will spin cycle on anything like that just because it needs to be perfect.
And it doesn't. There's no such thing. We talk about that when we talk about ones all the time. And it applies in the behavior with the wings. I
What was that
think,
thing I saw you post today? It was like, fuck it is so much more motivational than I think I can do this.
yes, yes. Because then you
Like,
don't care anymore, right? When you're like, fuck it, I'm just going to
yeah.
do it anyway. Like, fuck it,
Yeah.
I'm just going to try. Like,
That
then
should
that,
be
like,
accessible to a nine, right?
yes, yes, that should be accessible to a nine. And it should be accessible to a one. Like, that's exactly what the goal is. Like, when we talk about the one, is like, yeah, 80% is good enough a lot of the time. And I mean, I think the one energy of it's never going to be good enough, it could never be perfect, stopped so many things from moving forward. So if you're a two with a one wing or a nine with a one wing, like that perfectionism idea could be something that's holding you back. And if you're a one, it could be holding you back. I would say, and it's so interesting too when you think about the energy of one and the energy of eight and nine sitting in between them. And those are like the wings, right? There's something. So I would tell you living with a nine that we didn't talk about this part of wings, but there's like contextual things where he will take on one more than the other. I would say in day to day life, he's a nine who wings eight. We've talked about that a little bit before. But there are things where the one, and like I was talking, like that stops something from moving forward, will come out. Like, and to the exact point of your sister, but with him, it's like projects. It's like, I'm going to build a thing, whatever it is, like a big construction-y type of project. But he'll get caught up in little details about said project. Example, we've been talking about building a sauna for a while. Someday we're actually going to have one, and it might be like right before we decide to sell this house and go live in a van, but someday we're going to have a sauna. And he will get into like the nitty gritty details of like worrying about the shingle colors. I know he listens to this, so hopefully he laughs when I say that. But he's like asking me like if I care about the shingle colors for the sauna, and I'm like, nope, sure don't. Just make it match the
Sure
house.
don't.
Like this is like the thing. There's no frame. There's no foundation. The spot where it's going to go is not cleaned out and ready for it to be built there, but we're thinking about shingle colors. So that's like an example though of that like one, like I need to have like all of the details before I can move
Hmm.
forward kind of behavior. But when he wings eight, that's where I joke that he's actually an eight masquerading as a nine because he can get all of that like very direct, like poke fun at things, like kind of eight
Yeah.
energy. Like say whatever the fuck I want to say and like
Yeah. Yeah. All right. So if we're going
backwards
backwards, eight.
eight.
Eight. Can I count today? Math is not the strong suit. So eight, your wing is either seven or not nine. I live with an eight, and he wings seven most of the time. I would tell you, like, he is a social eight. So like that's kind of where that comes out. Like he doubles down on the like you're not gonna control me. Like you're not gonna do that. I don't want your limitations. I want to be able to go do my thing. But I think what can kind of trip him up in that seven is like he almost the double down is sometimes in like the anger passive aggressive where it's very like low eight but also very like avoidant.
Yeah. The interesting thing about you saying avoidant and passive aggressive, sevens and nines both do the passive aggressive thing pretty well.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
And they also are
And
both avoidant conflict style.
yes. So
Yeah.
he will if particularly if he knows that there's going to be emotion involved for the other person, he will withdraw
Yeah. Which
until he gets some sort of moment where he's like, either A, I'm calm enough to be able to articulate this in a way that honors the feelings that are in the room, or the other person will be like, bro, what is your problem?
yeah.
Like, what's your beef? So It kind of depends. I would tell you, oh my God, Monday. He's like into this fasting thing right now. God, he doesn't listen very often, so I can roast him on this. It's like he's fasting like on Mondays. He doesn't eat like from dinner on Sunday night until like lunch or dinner on Tuesday.
Why?
It's a discipline thing for him. Crazy.
Does he listen to a bunch of Huberman?
Yes, he does. Yes,
That
he
guy.
does. So he again, like it's the control thing. Like
Yeah.
I get to say when I'm gonna go do this, or I get to say when I'm gonna do
And
this the next time.
in the meantime, your blood sugar's in the freaking
My
toilet
God,
and
you
like
guys,
you're
Monday nights,
irritable and like nobody wants you.
facts. Monday nights in this house, real quiet.
So that's why we're recording the pod on a Monday night.
Mhm.
Note to
Mhm.
self.
He went for a walk. He's been walking if the weather's decent on Mondays because I'm like, you're a crank. Bye.
Yeah.
Goodbye.
I know there's like plenty of science around fasting and how much it can help men, but I also am like, there's also, you could do damage. You could do
Yeah.
damage to your
Yeah.
metabolism, to your relationships. Yeah.
I was gonna say relationships first and then metabolism, but
Yeah. Interesting.
yeah.
I think, yeah.
So he also kind of his five energy is pretty high as well.
Sense why he would love Huberman. Yeah, there's like, yes. Okay. Anyway,
Yes, he's got a lot of five energy. And is he high thinking? Very high thinking.
yeah,
Obviously low feeling. He has me for all that. All the feelings for everyone.
all the feelings.
So yeah,
It
I
is,
mean,
yeah.
what I would say about his eight type is his subtype matters for that because I know a couple of eights that, well, I would say the 1-to-1 eight that you and I both know, I believe she wings seven.
Most of the eights that I know, except for maybe one, I can think of one, and I'd be on the fence about it. But my mom wings seven, Casey wings seven. There's another eight you and I work with. I'd be shocked if she doesn't wing seven.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, there's only one. There's another eight that you and I work with who's also a social eight. And I would wonder if he maybe wings nine because he is one of the most relaxed, chill eights that I know. But he's the only one, and I'd have to talk to him about it to be like, do you think
I
that you
met with
wing
him today.
nine?
I should have asked him.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like nothing really rattles him.
No.
Like
I mean, and he,
so chill.
yeah.
Is he a social eight?
Yes. Yeah. You know how, whatever, I'm going to rabbit hole on eights here for a second. We may or may not make it through all nine numbers. I know we say that every
I think
podcast,
we'll
but one of these times is going to happen.
probably, oh yeah, we might
But
only get through half. We've only done three numbers.
the social eight, you know how there are the social eight, like there's names for different things or names, how there's like a
Oh,
name for like
yeah.
if you're a wing, what your wing is. And I'm pretty sure that the wing, eight wing nine is called the bear sometimes. I'm almost positive that that's what they sometimes call it. And anyway, this eight that we're talking about perfectly fits that in my mind, right? Of like, there's like a warmth and like it's still like protective, but it's a very different energy than the eight who wings with a really strong seven.
I was gonna say, yeah, I don't remember what the word is.
I'm pretty sure
The
it's
keyword for a social eight is solidarity.
oh for a social eight of solidarity. I'm thinking of the wing then, how they have wings. You know, like how a
Mm-hmm.
five wing four is the iconoclast, because everybody
Mm-hmm.
knows what that is. Anyway.
Yeah, you have to Google that.
Yeah. Okay, so I guess we should go to sevens then. We're gonna keep going backwards.
Yep.
So sevens who wing eights, they're gonna have like there's gonna be a little more edge to that wing. Trying to think through the sevens that you and I know. The seven who wings eighth maybe comes off a little less anxious than the seven who wings six.
That would make sense. Like a little bit more comfortable in their own skin, kind of.
Yeah. I think a lot of, well, it's hard for me to say. A lot of the sevens I know read in their behaviors a little more six. But I mean, I guess it could go both ways.
You and I know a seven that I believe wings eight. That I would say they're like not incredibly integrated. And it shows up a little bit like like I mean this in the best way possible, but like it's like a false sense of confidence where it doesn't feel very authentic. And sometimes I question like why are you doing that? Like you don't have to do that. Like you don't
Nobody's
have
making
to
you.
like present yourself that way. It's okay to just be yourself, is what I end
I
up
think they
wanting
would
to.
tell you. They would tell you they are being their themselves, which
I
is like a
know, that's it. It's
curious.
it's really weird. It's really weird. The vibes I pick up are like you gotta relax a little bit.
Yeah. I think when I think about the seven winging to eight, there's like a command that they have in, you know what I mean? Like the way they take up space is
Mm-hmm.
different. And there's like a stretch over the triad. Like we haven't talked about it yet, but in the places where so nine sits in the center of their triad. So their wings are eight and one. So they're like solid in the gut action anger triad. Like they sit in the
Mm-hmm.
middle of it. That's like their
Mm-hmm.
option there. But the
Mm-hmm.
numbers that sit on the edge where they like eight winging to seven, they're like bridging across on one side to into the thinking triad next to them. And for sevens, right, it's like that same idea of like where they're bridging back across to eight is like there's like a different way that that shows up because five, sixes, and sevens, they're in the thinking triad, but the emotion primarily tied to those numbers is anxiety. And so when the seven is like going back into that eight wing, they're like I don't want to say overcoming. I'm making it sound, that's not exactly what I mean, but like the feeling back into that other triad is different than to the six where there's more anxiety. And so it just shows up, it just reads a little different.
That's interesting to think about it that way.
Yeah.
Okay.
I
Yeah,
think
I'm trying to think of an example of the seven that I know that wings six, but I know another seven. He definitely wings eight, I think, where he is like, and it's really funny because in his seven nature, he's like very happy, like very positive, very like easy to talk to. And if something is said that triggers him, whether it be like political or like something like that, immediately jumps to confrontation
yeah.
and like
Yes.
big eight energy.
Right.
And his wife is a six, and his wife immediately has anxiety about it.
Right. Oh my God. What did you say? Why did you say it?
Like, shut
Yes.
up, shut up, shut up, stop talking.
Yes. I think it's interesting also because most of the sixes I know also would tell you they wing five, they don't wing seven. So for sevens,
Sure.
like more, it feels like more of them go back towards six than to eight, just generally, at least in what I've experienced. But then it doesn't necessarily work the other way.
That's interesting because so this the wife six that I was just talking about,
Mhm.
I see seven from the standpoint of like she went on, I think it was 6 or 9 months worth of a trip to Solomon Islands where like she spent time teaching kids and like literally slept on like virtually the ground, surrounded in a mosquito net and ate like only rice. Like that was it. Like just so willing to like drop and go. She was just telling me a story a few weeks ago where she and her husband really wanted to go on this mission trip to Romania, but there weren't any seats left to go. And then, like, 3 days or 2 days before, two seats opened up, and they were like, yep, we're going.
We're going.
We're
Yeah,
leaving.
that,
This is
yeah,
it. But then she's also the person that if I want to look at a flight or a thing to do, or a place to go, or if anything like that, I could let her know, like, hey, here's what I'm looking for. Like, can you help me? And by that night, she'll be like, here's a bunch of options. I set you up with you. Like,
yeah.
she's,
Here's your travel
she's,
advisor, blah, blah, blah. Yeah.
yes, yes. Like, here is all of the information that you need.
Or maybe what it is that the seven feels, maybe it's not that they don't have, like, 'cause to your point, it's there, they have it, but maybe it's more that it feels foreign to them to say it. Like,
Be.
right? Because we all have this romantic idea, all of us, every other Enneagram number except for seven has this romantic idea about seven. And so maybe the sixth, like, sees that as that could not possibly be them, right? Because that's like the
Maybe.
opposite. That's like the opposite of them. It's the same thing as when you talk about eight, nine, six, and seven next to each other is also curious in like the same way
Right.
because they're so, so different.
Yeah.
It's like, no, definitely not. Yeah.
So funny. So, so funny. Five. We probably got time for five, maybe four.
Well, we should do six with a wing of five. We'll see if we get through that. So sixes who wing five, that probably feels natural to them because it's the collection of information,
Mhm.
right? That's like in the realm of preparedness. And for fives, like, I think that's why a lot of fives also will say that they wing more six, is that those things like feel the motivations of those two numbers feel similar. Like the
Mhm.
five is collecting all the information and the whatever, and that's what's helping their anxiety. And the sixes are like preparing for the worst case scenario, which is another form of overthinking, right? And so
Yeah.
those two tracks are very similar in behavior and in motivation.
Mhm.
So I think that's why a lot of sixes will also just resonate with five pretty closely. Last week when I was teaching the Enneagram, there was a six in the room and she was talking about like how closely five resonates for her versus seven. But I think then for fives, like for me, and I mentioned this in the beginning, right? I feel like when I was younger, I leaned way more heavily into six than I do today. Like today, there's a lot more that feels like four to me versus six. I don't know if it presents itself that way, but that's how it feels to me anyway. They're,
Way that I experience you is more definitely more four wing than six. I would tell you, like, again, like it's tough because 6 and 5 have similar kind of like behavioral, like I would tell you that when I experience you in more of a stress situation, I see you like with that like really quick thought pattern type stuff, but I also think like through all of this work that you've done for a long period of time and this work with Brandon, having experienced that work myself, it literally makes you channel like a feeling because when you're in session with him, he's like, okay, where do you feel that? Like it becomes a little bit more readily available, sometimes more
Yeah,
than I would like.
I still
For me,
suck at.
not you, but
Yeah, yeah. I was like, I still suck at that. He'll be like, and where do you feel that? And I'll be like, well, I don't
I don't
know.
know. Nowhere.
In my brain, Brandon, I feel it in my brain. I don't know.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. But you can
Yes.
name it like pretty
Yes.
quickly. And there are things that I've noticed with you that trigger a feeling and you know what it is, like almost right away.
Yeah. Yeah. Where it lives in my body, I might not be able to get there, but I can tell you
Yeah.
what the emotion is.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
You can name it and explain a little bit of it.
Yeah. And yes, why it's happening. That and some of that's for, but I think to the point of the four behavior, like there's some four behaviors that get more and more kind of like obvious to me too, where I was like, oh, that's a four thing, right? And like matching outfits and things like that.
Yeah.
I yeah. For fours though, I think in a similar, it is hard for me to say with fours. I remember when we talked to Hector about fours and their wings, that if I remember correctly, he had a little trouble kind of like identifying, although some of what it sounded like was three to me, but also that he's like very well read and does a bunch of research and like dives really. But on the other side, then he's kind of like competitive about his cycling and his running and things like that. So like him sort of the diving in and like the research and the deep dives of the Wing Five, but then has like this other expression of competitiveness, if that makes sense. I just
Mm-hmm.
remember when we talked to him about that too, him being like, well, no, not really three.
Yeah.
So yeah.
I'd be interested. There's a four that you and I both know that is releasing a book.
Oh yes. We have to get her on.
And we have to get her on because I would be really curious how she would talk about it because I'm following her Instagram and it's very like strong female, like I did this energy.
Yes.
So it made me think of her because it's like, is it three of like that competitive, like I did this,
Yeah. I do one
being
of
postpartum, like doing the mom thing and
yeah.
like you managed to write a book.
Yes.
Or is it a little bit of both? Because I'm sure she experienced like through the process of getting a publisher and like all of that, there's so much information involved that, I mean, was she able to do that leaning into that other wing of 5, you know?
Well, I mean, maybe in some of these cases we're talking to folks, right? It comes back to that idea of, are they equal? Like everybody's story around this is different. Like, are they equal for her
Yeah,
in terms of, does she really lean on the like competitive, prove it, achievement side for some of it, but then, you know, lean back into the, if you think about world creation, for example, in a novel, like that's research and history and right? Like
we got to get her on. She's pretty
we
cool.
do. Yes, she is.
Yeah, makes
Okay.
sense.
We got, well, we can keep going because we did two kind of. So if we go three, threes, four,
3.
and two, maybe we'll make it.
3?
Three. So we've talked about fours, we've talked about twos and threes. Obviously, those are the two wings for them. I feel like threes, similar to when we talked about ones, lean more heavily into the two than into the four. I think a lot of threes really kind of get when they're in a space of like, I want to help someone else be successful,
Mm-hmm.
or if they're a three who's mastered the art of winning through others, the two will really
Yeah.
come out for them. A lot of their they're threes that are they're deep feelers, but they don't want you to know they're deep feelers. I think
Yep.
the two wing is big for them too.
Yep.
Yeah. I
And there's a 3. You and I know a 3. I wonder if she's a 4, if she wings 4. I could see both.
think subtype probably matters a little bit too in how they
Yeah.
show up. Because my experience is that 1-1 threes tend to be a little more in the feels like a four than,
Well, that makes sense.
yeah, than a social or self-pres three.
Yeah. That makes sense.
Yeah. There's a to 1-3 I've been working with a lot recently. And she's a high feeling three. Like her center of expression is feeling. And I would guess that's a that she wings into that four.
Oh,
Because she's not,
yeah.
yeah, she's not a heart on her sleeve kind of person.
No, I definitely don't read that about her, but I also like I can see like kind of that mama bear tendency that comes out that's very readily available in twos.
Yeah. This goes back to like what we talked about too, though, because threes sit in the middle of that
Mhm.
feeling triad. So like which way they like lean into the feeling, like is it outward and external or is it internal and like right?
Yep.
Yeah.
Interesting. Okay.
There's probably a whole nother podcast about that, like bridging
Oh
over
yeah.
the like when you sit in the middle of your triad and like
Mm-hmm.
versus like the bridges between the edges.
2?
Two, well, we talked a little bit about it when we talked about you when we started, right?
Yep.
So the two wing three, the two wing one. Anything
Yep.
else you want to talk about with the two?
I don't think so. I mean, I could certainly see it both ways. I can see how mine has potentially changed over time, but 3 is primarily where I live today. And it's more so like that achievement, like the I'm gonna do this thing, here's the next thing that I'm gonna do. And it's less about perfectionism. I would tell you my one wing comes out through control, but that's like that could be my 8 stress. We've talked about that before too. So it's definitely more 3. 3 is much more readily available to me than 1.
I don't see a lot of one in you in the day to day. I know you're an acts like a one, but I don't experience you like perfecting somebody else's work in the same way that a one would.
I bet if you asked a couple people, you would say that like I'm kind of in their shit.
So maybe it's contextual
It is
for
a
you.
little contextual because there's some times where I'm like, yeah, I wouldn't do it that way. Here's how I think you should do it. But
Hey,
it also kind
you're
of comes
wrong.
out at, yeah, AKA you're wrong, don't do that. And also it happened to me last week actually where I intervened in something that someone was gonna do, and the inner monologue I was having in my head is like, see, this is why. This is why I'm in this shit. Because if that would have happened instead of the thing that I advised, wow, that would have been a problem. Like, oh man. Which it probably would have been fine. I I caught myself because I was like, don't do that. It started off way less. See, this is why it was a little more like, what the fuck? Like, what? This is why if you're gonna do something, you just do it yourself. So
No, that's not the
you
correct
need
answer.
something done, just do it yourself.
No, no.
Okay. We made it
We
through all
asked for
9.
help. We did. And when I edit this down, it will not be too long, so we'll be all right.
Awesome. Well, this was
Yeah.
great. I'm glad we were ahead so you could enjoy your time.
Yes.
I
Be
will miss
editing
you.
this on the plane. I will miss you too. Only a little though.
That's fine. It's fine. I will always miss you way more than you miss me, and I've already coped with that. Need you to know that you've gone on vacation enough times where I have learned I am much more relieved to see you when you are back than you are to see me.
I'll make sure to drink a glass of wine for you on the beach,
Thank you.
or at least
Thank
drink a
you.
glass of, even if it's not on the beach, in the sun.
Perfect.
Either way. Yeah.
That's all I ask.
Yeah.
That's all I ask. Okay.
All right.
Like,
Well,
subscribe, share, comment, all the
yeah.
things. And until
Check out,
next time.
yes. Check out the Substack.
Yep.
Yeah. All right. I'll
All
talk to you
right.
later.
Bye.
Bye.